Hello, thank you for joining us in this mini-series looking at playing keys in worship. We really hope that you find it helpful and we'd love to hear how you get on. So do get in touch and let us know, because we love hearing stories of how people have developed in their God-given gifts. My name's John and I'm going to be walking you through what it looks like to play keys in a worship context. Whether you're just starting out playing keys and have never played in church before, or whether you are an experienced musician and have played in church for a long time, I hope these short videos will be helpful to you. So before we dive into how we as keys players play in worship, let's talk briefly about why, what we should aim for and what values we should keep in mind as we approach playing in a worship context. Worship music is different to any other style of music as it's primarily not about us. It's not even about the music really, but instead it's about leading people to God. And so as we come to worship, it's important to always keep in our minds the question, how can I lead people to God through what I'm playing? Is there anything I'm doing that is distracting people from God? Of course, as the psalmist says, we want to play skillfully, giving the fullness of our gifts to God. But I believe to play skillfully is to play in a way that suits the song, suits the style, and suits the environment that we're playing in. So as keys players, what are we here for? Why are keys included in most worship band setups? Well, the keyboard is the most versatile instrument in the band. With the keyboards, you can be rhythmic, you can be melodic, you can be subtle, you can be loud, you can be low, you can be high, and everything in between. You cover a much broader range of sound than any other instrument, and that's important to remember. Brian Dirksen, a worship leader from Canada, talks about the fraction principle. He looks at the whole band as the number one, as a whole. If there are 3 musicians, each musician takes up a third of the band's sound, the rhythm, the melody, the harmony, the dynamics, and so on. If there are 7 musicians, each member takes up a seventh of the band, and so on. As a keys player, because you're so versatile, you have the opportunity to adapt to everybody else and fill in the gaps. If you're without a bass player, you can play low. If you're without a guitarist, you can play the riffs and lead lines, and so on. Most of the time, in our context though, you'll have a full band around you with drums, band, bass, guitars, and so on. Therefore, in our context, I see the keyboard as the body of the sound, kind of like a backdrop of a worship band mix upon which everything else is built. It may not always be the most audible thing, but if you took it away, you'd really feel that something was missing. At times, you might step forward, so to speak, in the mix and have a particular part to play. At other times, and to be honest, most of the time, you'll provide a background role, making a safe place, a basis for other players and instruments to play from. One key thing which I often say to keys players is unless the moment specifically calls for it, it's rare to ever stop playing. I might change to just a pad or something very subtle, but it's quite rare that I'll stop playing altogether. There are times when you'll want to stop playing to create a moment of silence directed by the worship leader, music director, or service leader. But most of the time, as keys players, we just keep playing. And that's because you're there to provide that base for the rest of the band to go from. You're there to help the congregation encounter God, and part of that is helping them to feel safe in the environment that you as a band create. So throughout this video mini-series, we'll look at how to play with other instruments, knowing what to play when. We'll look at chord inversions, navigating the keyboard and using sounds and effects, and we'll finish with a video playing through a song, which will demonstrate all of these things. So we'll see you then.